Welcome, everybody, to the inaugural episode of Fourth and Inches. I'm your host, John Shepard, also known as a poor man's Tony Reale. Today, I'm joined alongside by our talented group of panelists representing Los Angeles, Dexter Manley, representing Ann Arbor, Michigan, Dane Jackson, and representing the great city of Framingham, Massachusetts, Frank Carino. Let's get started. Here's how the game works. Panelists will be asked questions in a round-robin format. Points, or click, will be awarded by me based on the strength of their answers. Whichever panelist has the most points at the end of the game is your winner. Our first topic for the day, bastion of sports knowledge, Riley Teixeira was involved in a charity basketball game. Not sure what his stat line was, but I'm assuming based on his high school stats it was a solid single. Take it away, Dexter.
I can only imagine the unwarranted venom my colleagues are going to spew about this selfless act of charity and goodwill. I commend you, Riley, and Shep, I'm sure that you can agree. When we were 21, 22, we were probably out with our hooligan friends committing shenanigans. For anyone to come at this young man for committing a good deed, I mean, literally out there, putting his ego aside, putting his social life aside, giving kids encouragement, young mothers who haven't lost the weight from their second child. We need more of this. Less techno DJs, less beer-drinking, beard-toting hipster wannabes who got picked on in high school and have been with less than 10 women in their entire adult life. I commend you, Riley. The rest of you, rise above the hate.
So first things first, before I get started, I need to clear something up. I may have an amazing taste in beer, and I may have a great beard, but I'm not a hipster. Hipsters don't drink delicious Michigan craft brewed beer out of bottles. Hipsters also don't watch wrestling. And I am the Raw MVP. Yum. So, we're talking about Riley, right? Alright, so Riley, try not to think about you because I don't respect you, but, you know, I can appreciate that you did a charity basketball game. That's nice. Good job. But maybe you should be focusing more on your studying instead of reading the group in class and texting while you're driving. See, I focused on my studies, and now I get to play board games for a living. And I also know who Vince Lombardi is, and I also know who James Naismith is. So maybe you should focus a little more on your history and appreciate Maine sports a little bit more instead of always rooting for teams from Columbus, Ohio, and Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Listen, Shep, I get it. Jack McDevitt does a 60-hour DJ marathon for ALS. Give him a pat on the back. RJ LaJoy wants to take in every stray dog in the greater Cleveland area. But we're talking about a kid with an ego so big he makes Kobe Bryant look Amish. We're talking about some millennial who's trying to relive his glory days by being a gym class hero with a bunch of 50-year-old men. I mean, he was playing against the guy who took him off the dribble with an Italian cold-cut sandwich in his other hand. I know the double-double is a litmus test for good basketball players, but turnovers and minutes played don't count. So, in the immortal words of Coach Riley, talking to little Gordon Bombay, Riley's not even a has-been. He's a never was. So next time you try to take Father O'Malley to school on the court just because he molested your little brother, don't come to us looking for praise or accolades. You deserve none, you'll get none, and have a nice day.
Alright everybody, so after round one, let's check our poorly designed scoreboard because they're really fucking hard to animate. In first place, we have Dexter with 9 points. In second place, Frank with 7 points. And in last place right now, Dane with 6 points. Moving on to round two. Our next topic, future triple coronary bypass patient Brian Cook ate 90 nuggets in a single sitting on a bet. That's gotta be good for his cholesterol levels. What do you got for us, Dexter?
Coming from the depths of anonymity all the way to front page news, New Mexico, Minnesota, Arkansas, how many of us have even been to these states? he was once Steve O's guardian angel, and now he's Terry Ballard 2.0. Listen, Stroke Brother, one love, but I mean, for reals, Brian Cook has taken this land by storm. This is now his yard, okay? And furthermore, I look forward to seeing what contributions he has coming in the near future.
Brian Cook kicked Gluttony Bowl 2017 off this week, eating 90 nuggets in 60 minutes on a Facebook Live video in this group. Some people are talking about this as if it's some impressive feat that should be aspired to, and not the rock bottom of a man that's clearly lost control of his life. Some people want to make comparisons of him being Terry Ballard 2.0, but let's take a look at what that really means. At worst, he's a raving psychopath who poses completely naked in pictures to win imaginary awards on the internet. And at best, he's a guy who wins a Rookie of the Year award and then fails to have relevance in a place where Jason Avery's an admin. I like to think of him more as Jack McDevitt .5, coming up with completely ludicrous stories that nobody believes, only way lamer than the stuff that Jack talks about. As far as I'm concerned, you guys can think whatever you want, but the most impressive thing Brian Cook's done this week is seen his toes.
You know, with Brian Cook, Dexter sees the second coming of Terry Ballard. I have to disagree. I see a cry for help. Brian Cook is a lost soul. He's sad. He hates himself. Why else would he agree to eat 90 nuggets in 60 minutes? Granted, they were Chick-fil-A nuggets, so they're delicious, but still, coming from a former fat guy, 90 nuggets in an hour is a death wish. I think he's just starving for attention, and he's pretty sad that he no longer hangs out with Steve-O. He could have been the next Preston Lacey, or actually he could have been Preston Lacey, and instead he's just in a sports group making food bets to help him get through the day. I mean, I did a quick analysis on what he ate in an hour. 90 chicken nuggets from Chick-fil-A equated to 3,000 calories, 12,000 milligrams of sodium. The FDA recommends that we eat 2,300 milligrams, and he had 12,000 milligrams. It's ridiculous. 143 grams of fat. And to top it all off, he did a fireball at the end of his video. That's a cry for help. We shouldn't be praising this man. We should be starting an intervention. We love you, Brian. Love yourself.
All right, everybody, with round 2 in the books, let's take a look at our scoreboard. Dane has moved from last place to first place with 16 points. Dexter and Frank are both tied for second with 13 points apiece. Moving on to round 3 and our final round. And our last topic in the inaugural episode of 4th and Inches, Emo Jim was the target of a prank by yours truly involving a glass bet from the Super Bowl that he didn't even make. Dane, was this cruel or was this just a prank between boys?
So maybe Emo Jim isn't a welcher. I mean, he did like 1.5 of the 3 challenges. That's good enough, right? Wrong. Emo Jim agreed to 3 challenges, and he should have done them. I understand nobody in the group expected him to eat glass in the first place, but he could have made sugar glass and eaten it, or chewed on crystal meth, and then turned around and told the entire group to go fuck themselves. Instead, he caved into peer pressure and got talked into doing 3 challenges that he never should have even attempted in the first place. He failed at the saltines. He didn't even make it all the way through the whole gallon of milk before failing, and he outright pussied out of the cinnamon challenge. Oh wait, it turns out he wasn't even a welcher in the first place. He never made the glass statement. He got the wool pulled over his eyes by Jonathan Shepard. So congratulations, Emo Jim. You're not a welcher. You're just the dumbest guy in the history of the internet since Manti Te'o. Congratulations for getting catfished in a group full of dudes, you bozo.
So, full disclosure, the week leading up to Jim puking in a bucket, I was hitting him up privately, telling him not to do the challenge. I didn't think it was a good idea. I thought it was a dumb idea. I mean, you saw how I felt about Brian Cook and his food challenge, so you probably know how I feel about milk and saltines and cinnamon. Sure, if I have a little bit of alcohol, I might have a tablespoon of cinnamon over an hour while joking around with everyone. Yeah, why not, right? But overall, I don't like food challenges, and I don't think they should be done. And, you know, I talked to Jim, and I gave him ideas of a more heelish way to complete his challenges. And given the fact that his friend Jonathan Shepard, our lovely host, backstabbed him and totally set him up, even though Emo Jim brought him into the group, now I really wish he would have taken my advice and done something a lot more heelish and a lot more creative than just puking in a bucket with no audio. I mean, that was pathetic. It was probably the worst way to fulfill a challenge ever. And he's never going to live it down, and he's always going to be Emo Jim, the quiet milk puker.
Shep. Bruh. Guy. I gotta give it to you, man. You had me. I had no clue. But less than 24 hours since ChallengeGate, I think we're left with more questions than we are answers. How deep does the deception go? Was Tapley in on it? I mean, Jason Avery was seen or heard asking him about a video from you days prior to the drop. Was Jim B. Emo in on it? Am I in on it? Is Frank Carino in on it? Is this thing improv, or are we reading off a script? Do people improv without blinking? I don't know. More questions than answers. But at this point, it's safe to say, I don't want to give Shep any reason to have any video on me that he doesn't already have. And furthermore, what were you doing before you joined this group, bro? How many restraining orders do you have against you? What does your hard drive look like? I am just perplexed at the attention to detail, the persistence, the perseverance, and how much thought and effort went into ChallengeGate. I applaud you, but at the same time, I fear you.
All right, and that concludes all three of our topics today. Let's check our final standings on the poorly designed scoreboard. In third place today, with a total of 21 points, Dane. In second place today, with a total of 22 points, Frank, which means your winner of the inaugural 4th and Inches is Dexter with a total of 23 points. Congratulations, Dexter. At least you won something. I'd like to thank our panelists for playing the game today and thank all of you for tuning in. I'm your host, John Shepard.